Before you can build a quality management system, you need to answer a deceptively simple question. Who are you and what world are you operating in? That is the essence of Clause 4.1. Get this wrong and your entire QMS is built on sand. Welcome back to ISO Decoded. I am Ahmed Ibrahim and this is episode 2. Last week we set the stage, we explored what ISO 9001 is, the 7 quality management principles and the BDCA cycle. Today, we begin our close by close journey with the very first requirement. Clause 4.1 Understanding the organization and its context. Clause 4 is titled Context of the Organization, and it is the starting point for everything in your QMS. Think of it as the DNA of your quality system. Before you set objectives, before you write procedures, before you train anyone, you must first understand who you are as an organization and what environment you are operating in. The ISO 9001 Auditing Practices Group describes it beautifully. If you don't know clearly your starting point of your journey, it will be difficult to achieve the intended results. Let's read the requirement directly. Clause 4.1 states, the organization shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affects its ability to achieve the intended results of its quality management system. Let's unpack the sentence because every word matters. The organization shall determine. This is mandatory. The word shall in ISO standards means it is a requirement, not a suggestion. External and internal issues. You must look both outward and inward. External issues include things like regulatory changes, market competition, economic conditions, technological developments. And as of February 2024, climate change. Internal issues include your organizational culture, governance structure, capabilities, knowledge, and performance. Relevant to its purpose, not every issue in the world is relevant. You filter for what affects your organization and your ability to deliver quality. Intended results of its QMS, the ultimate goal is conforming products and services, customer satisfaction, and the effective operation of your management system. Notably, the standard doesn't require documented information for this clause, but as the Auditing Practices Group notes, most organizations will find it useful to retain documented information to help understand their challenges. So, how do you actually do this in practice? The good news is that the standard doesn't prescribe a specific method. There are many supporting techniques for organizations to observe and analyze their context. Here are the most common tools quality professionals use. First, the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is probably the most widely used tool for Clause 4.1 internal strengths and weaknesses mapped to your internal issues. External opportunities and threats mapped to your external issues. Second, PESTLE analysis. This stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. It is particularly useful for mapping the external landscape systematically. Third, Porter 5 forces. This helps you understand competitive dynamics, the threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of suppliers and buyers, the threat of substitutes, and competitive rivalry. The Auditing Practices Group suggests that information helpful in this process could include business plans, strategy reviews, competitor analysis, economic reports, SWOT analysis, minutes of meeting, and action lists. The key output from this activity should be evident in your determined risks and opportunities, which we will cover then when we get to Clause 6.1. context feeds directly into risk based thinking. Now, there is a critical update you need to know about. In February 2024, ISO published Amendment 1 to ISO 9001 2015. This amendment adds a single powerful sentence to Clause 4.1. The organization shall determine whether climate change is a relevant issue. This is significant. For the first time, every organization certified to ISO 9001 must explicitly consider whether climate change affects their quality management system. This was added across all ISO management system standards simultaneously. Now, this doesn't mean every organization must have a climate change program. It means you must determine whether climate change is relevant to your context. For a coastal manufacturing plant, the answer is likely yes. Sea level rise, extreme weather events, and supply chain disruptions are very real risks. For a software consulting firm in an inland city, the determination might be different. Auditors will now evaluate how the organization demonstrates it has considered climate change issues. If relevant issues are determined, these will need to be addressed within the QMS through risk assessment, planning of changes, or scope adjustments. Auditors will now evaluate how the organization demonstrates it has considered climate change issues. If relevant issues are determined, these will need to be addressed within the QMS through risk assessment, planning of changes, or scope adjustments. This amendment reflects the reality that quality and sustainability are becoming inseparable. Let's talk about what auditors look for when they assess Clause 4.1. Auditors need to evaluate whether the organization has addressed these issues. They will look for evidence that you have systematically identified both external and internal issues. They will check that these issues are relevant, not just a generic list copied from a template. Here are practical tips. Tip 1. Your context analysis should be living, not a one time exercise. The business environment changes. Update your analysis at least during management reviews. Tip 2. Connect your issues to real actions. If you identify a technology shift as an external issue, show how that links to your risks or risk register and quality objectives. Step 3. Don't overthink documentation. While there is no formal requirement for documented information, having a concise context summary helps during audits and ensures organizational memory. Tip 4. Use your management reviews as the natural home for context discussions. It's already required to review changes in external and internal issues under Clause 9.3. To wrap up, To wrap up, Clause 4.1 is your foundation. It asks you to honestly assess who you are as an organization, what world you operate in, and how these factors affect your ability to deliver quality. Use tools like SWOT, PESTEL, and strategic reviews. Remember the new climate change amendment and make your context analysis a living exercise that evolves with your business. Next week in episode 3, we tackle Clause 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. Who are the people and organizations that care about your quality? What do they expect from you? And how do you figure that out systematically? Subscribe so you don't miss it. Share this episode with your quality team. And remember, context is not just a clause, it's a mindset. Until next week, keep decoding quality.